Good morning, Happy New Year, and welcome to all of you joining in. Um, I'm extending a warm welcome on behalf of the 8th season of the MRSI webinar, the 9th season, in fact, of the MRSI webinar, our first of the year. Next slide, please, Anish. A little bit about MRSI. MRSI is a unique not-for-profit association of providers, buyers of research and insights. It was established in 1988. It was built to create awareness of the industry amongst the public at large, as well as within the government. It was established to promote professional standards and provide a platform for professionals to engage and showcase their work in common issues, just as we are doing today. The board of directors for the MRSI spans various sectors across the industry. Next slide, please. A little bit about the webinar committee. This is the committee that brings to you all of these talks, curates, speakers, has various discussions through it, selects topics. We have Abhinav Goyal. The lead. Uttara Dhawan, who is the Associate Vice President of Third Eye, Adya Sinha, myself, Sundar Muthuraman, who is an independent marketing measurement consultant, Amitabh Mishra, who's previously been at Dr. Reddy's, is currently an independent consultant, and Nathan, who is also a behavioral consultant, runs his own research firm called Curious Cat Consultancy. Next slide, please. Today at this webinar, we have an exciting set of speakers. We have Dr. Arvind Kumar from the ARC Veterinary Clinic. He is a pet care specialist, a pet healthcare specialist based out of Chennai. We have Shivangini Dwivedi, who is the founder and CEO of Ultimate, which is a chain of pet care and pet specialty providers. And we have Ritika Nair, the CEO of Riora Hair Artists, a pet parent herself and a researcher in the past. Today's topic, next slide please, is very, very exciting. And before we jump into, before I hand over the mic to our speakers of the day, it's an interesting topic because it is so topical, right? There are I don't think it's possible for anyone to have scrolled through social media, LinkedIn, posts here or there without having come across the phenomenon and this boom of pet care that we see today, in the way that people relate to pets, in the way that they talk about pets, the kind of things that they do for their pets. Very often, in fact, we'll be on a Teams call and you'll see someone say, "Oh, I'm sorry, my dog or my cat needs me for a minute, so I'm going to turn off my camera and return right there." So today's conversation is going to focus on an aspect of this phenomenon, which is called the DINKWADs, right? Which are, I mean, in the 90s, we had the rise of the DINKs, which were people who chose to be dual income, no kid households. And with this pet care phenomenon, we've added to that with a dog, or with a pet rather. We want this, I mean, it's going to span across specialties. We have obviously Dr. Arvind, who is going to bring in the medical and a more evolutionary perspective. Shivangini, who has further diversification of these pet care services, and Dr. Ritika as well. So very excited to see what they have to say about who these people are, what they kind of represent about the changing consumer, and what they see for this particular phenomenon going forward. So starting with you, over to you, Dr. Arvind. Please take it away. You're on mute. Sorry, Dr. Arvind, just a second. I just sent you an unmute request. If you could just.
Is that okay?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. Yeah, let me start all over again. Morning, everyone. Pleasure to be here. Thanks to the panel and, of course, to Adya to coordinate all this and get us all ready and prepared. This is my first webinar, so please bear with me if I go off track, and please rein me in. Please feel free to do that. So now, as a brief introduction about myself, my name is Arun Kumar. So I've been in practice since 1997 in the city of Chennai, and over the years, the topic is very relevant because over the years I have felt very, very remarkable transformation in the way the pet is looked at, and that is what we are going to be talking about. Professionally, I'm a hip replacement surgeon. So, as most of the canine and also feline pet owners are concerned, the hip dysplasia contributes to one of the most common debilitating diseases, especially in pedigree pets. And hip replacement is something that's been available to give the pet a comfortable life since 2005. And now we have a handful of surgeons doing this in India, and I'm one of them. We have a team of specialists ranging from cardiology to imaging to intensive care specialists. So that's to do with our clinic. Now, Sandesh, can I have the next slide? So the evolution, as I can put it, when I started practice, especially as an intern in 1993, the purpose of the pet dog was primarily guarding, hardly let into the house, and the dog was just part of the house, meaning more like I say, more part of the entrance of the house with hardly any access to the inside, no specialized care, out in the rain, out in the sun, and there was no special meals being cooked. Food, whatever left out was given. There is no effort taken in the care of the dog itself. And obviously, when there is less interaction, the emotional quotient is also pretty much low. If it's there, it's there. Sometimes I have had experiences where people have noticed that the dog is not there anymore for a few days before they realize that something is off. So that was the state of affairs. Sandesh, can we go on to the next? Yeah, so over the years, things have obviously been changing, but the most dramatic increase in perception happened during the COVID. And of course, internet also plays a role, and COVID sort of accelerated the entire scenario. So all of a sudden, during the months when we were all locked up, half dressed and attending meetings, we were also doing a lot of browsing, and we were trying to get in contact with all our friends, relatives, business associates across the world through internet. And we were talking about a lot of things. Of course, here we will restrict ourselves to pets. And of course, we were also contemplating having a lot of pets. And we were also learning that there is a certain way to bring up a pet. It's not something that you go on and get a pet and then learn things on the go. People were willing to educate themselves. And COVID also changed the mindset of the people, I think. And all of a sudden, it made a lot of relationship. It broke a lot of relationship. It definitely broke the mold in terms of our thinking ability. So we all of a sudden were not happy to be confined to a routine, I would say. And we definitely did not want to stay with any one thing. The average person suddenly became the best baker during COVID, and that set off a whole uh, industry, a whole entrepreneurship setup. And again, restricting ourselves to pets. We also realized that there were so many things that was happening in the rest of the world, and as far as pets were concerned, maybe it is clothing, maybe it is food, maybe it is the extent of healthcare that was available across the world. So here we get, and then we all wanted pets, or a substantial percentage of the population wanted to have a pet which was non-committal, and someone who will wag your tail. Doesn't matter whether you had a good day, bad day. You want to have a party, the dog can be part of the party also. Sandesh, can I have the next slide, please? And COVID got over, and then there was this huge boom, and all of a sudden, from a population which primarily wanted dogs for guarding, which basically meant medium size and large size dogs. When we say size, we bring about the body weight as a parameter. So post COVID, we just went the other way, literally flipped a coin, and we went the small dog way. Now, post COVID, we have seen an incredible increase in the of small dogs as a breed. Primarily, the poodles and the Shih Tzus took over from where the Dobermans and the German Shepherds were. Now, I'm not saying the German Shepherds and the Dobermans have lost flavor, and definitely not the Labrador or the Golden Retriever, but in terms of sheer numbers, or the sheer number of patients who are taking Abstinate, we have the average size of the dog to be around 4, maybe 5 kilos. I'm talking about the ideal body weight. There are also, of course, obesity is pretty common. We are not going to be referring to them, but here we have dogs who are sitting on the shoulders of the pet family, and they would definitely like to call themselves as a pet parent, pet brother. I am Pablo's brother, I'm Pablo's dad, and that's how people want to be referred to. They don't want to be called as Pablo's owner, uh, Pablo's guardian, not anymore. The pet is now come in, part of the family, and to make things easier, the only thing that you have to do for your dog is basically get the right service provider, whether it is food. Now you get packaged food, you have customized caterers who will provide customized meals, and we have caterers, pet food caterers who will give you a meal package labeled Monday morning, Monday lunch, Monday dinner, and for the entire week. And then you have, okay, before that, I should say the pet has to be kept clean, has to be groomed, given a bath, if not anything else. And here comes the spa. Now they will take your dog in, literally go through the whole process, and trust me, we have a Heads Up for Tails, a very popular grooming salon, grooming spa next to our clinic, and I am amazed every time when I see a dog come out of the parlor, and because I know how it was when it went in, the makeover is incredible, and it's very satisfying, and I'm quite happy to see that there are such excellent services available in India. And talking about conveniences, you also have dog walkers as a service now, which you specify and they do it. You want your dog just wants to go for a stroll, meet everybody in the neighborhood, in the society, and come back. That's fine. You have a dog who's hyper excited and needs to be exercised for 20 minutes, slow jog, light jog, blah blah blah, and there are services who will do it for you. And then coming to healthcare, if I am to use my own experience as an example, trust me, every day it's a viva voce, especially if it's a new client, new patient who's come in, new family member being brought in for a check. Uh, Sorry, did we jump slides?
Sorry.
Mrs. Can you go? Yeah, let's stay with this for a couple of more minutes, please. So now, especially we have had people who will have a pet in the family, who will come meet with me, check if I am good enough for the pet before they actually bring in the pet. It's more like an evaluation. So people are taking a lot of effort to ensure that their furry member of the family has absolutely the best. And they're just not willing to walk into some place and chalo, this mein to ho gaya. Nothing. If they want the best, they will check if it's the best and not go by reviews, recommendations. All that is fine, but first-hand experience evaluation is almost the norm these days, which means I better be Googling myself to anticipate questions and be prepared with not just an answer, but a really convincing answer. And once people have all these services, it sort of gets them to have a pet and enjoy all the licks and all the love. And that's it. They don't have to do anything necessarily. The work part of it is all nicely and taken care of these days. Okay, Sandesh, can I have the next slide, please? Yeah, now my understanding of the pet care industry, when I say pet care industry, I'm talking across the board, from food to clothing, accessories, training, education, boarding, travel, relocations, and of course, healthcare. We are moving rapidly from an industry which is largely unorganized. I would still say it's largely unorganized, but we are now beginning to get people to, what do you say? We have now people who are willing to investigate. People are testing waters and getting themselves to be an industry and to be recognized as an industry. Now, we also have several education programs which are very focused. Now, if you say education, we are like educating the pet family on how to bring in a pet before the pet actually comes home. That's where education starts. And people are willing to put in that bit of an effort. And we have good panelists. Now, we also have people who are training to be a hairstylist or grooming expert who will give suggestions based on the breed, based on the color of the coat. And of course, we also have people who are dealing with the nutrition as an aspect. Here again, I'd already breached that topic about customization in terms of food, content, etc. Now, also with on the healthcare front, we get so many advertisements and brochures on education, training to be a cardiologist, turning to be an ultrasonologist. So here again, as far as healthcare is concerned, the GP is on his way out. Even though it's not to my liking, I think the GP should always be the first step. But then everybody wants to be a specialist in some field. That's a good or a bad, I'm not too sure. But everybody is putting in that effort. Everybody is learning as far as the veterinarian is concerned. And like I said, people are recognizing the fact that you cannot make do with what was done maybe 1990s, 2000. And as far as products themselves are concerned, as long as the product is good, people are willing to try out new things. People are willing to accessorize their furry members of the family. Now there are, as I said, they're already in the house. So now it's only fair that they get their own bed, they get their own mattress, they get their own bed linen, customization, you name it, they're getting there. Maybe here again, we are not too quality conscious, let me say, at the moment, but we are evolving, people are learning, people are traveling, so people are comparing, and internet is definitely helping them do all this, just a click of a button. Now, to give you a fair idea of where we are heading, all this talk about quality, the best, offering the best, getting the best, also translates to money. And at this point of time, the percentage of people who are willing to splurge are also the ones who have a good income, whether a single person or two people with good incomes, which enough to spare that they can give the best for the pet. And again, everyone with an income also have their priorities. And when there are no children involved, resources are that much more focused on the pet. So that's where it is. Sandesh, can I have the next slide? And talking about luxury, I'm sure everyone is aware Gucci's got its own line for pets, and so does Hermes. And I was just reading up, and I found that the most expensive accessory for a pet at this point of time is a tiara called Amor Amor at $4.1 million. And if you think that's not enough for your pet, then you can, how do I get it? You can assign the project to Van Cleef. I think there's also one agency called Gabon who will customize it for you. And again, as far as numbers go, I think we are looking at a prediction of some $6.5 billion in 2030 or 33. That's the number we are looking at. And that's a lot of money. And I hope we all get a share of it. Thank you for listening to me. And yeah, keep the tail wagging going. Thank you. Thank you, Adya.
Thank you so much,
I
Dr.
hope
Arvind.
I stuck to my 10 minutes.
That was amazing. We could not tell that it was your first webinar at all. You came across so confident and so clear. And I thought it was so interesting the way that, and obviously that comes with experience, right? Almost 30 years of seeing this industry grow. It's so interesting. I think apart from obviously the size of the pie, the role of expertise, right? Like the various kind of expertise that are growing in pet care. And I think you said it, right? Like pet parents want to come and interview you first before they even bring their pet and see, like,
Tell me
you're a
about
good.
it.
I think that's very interesting and a really, really strong indication of things to come. You mentioned towards the end of your conversation about, the dual income phenomenon within this, where, the pet kind of gets the attention for the child and maybe even more than that. And I think our next speaker will be able to shed a little bit more light on that. Just a quick housekeeping reminder to all of those who've joined in. Please feel free to send in your questions. You'll be able to see the tab where you've joined in. Um, we will get them right here, and we can pose them to anyone on the panel or have a larger discussion on it. So please keep those questions coming. Um, so Dr. Alvin, I think, has netted out at such a crucial juncture, which is where we are right now. So Shivangini, I think, building a little bit on, who these DINKWADs are, right? What is this? How does this phenomenon translate as somebody who's servicing them today? So please take it away.
Hello, am I audible?
Hello.
Am I audible? Hello.
Yes, sure.
Okay, hi. So I am Shivangini. I am a chartered accountant by profession, but I jumped into this area of pet care only because of my love towards pets. So the topic of today, DINKWAD, is something which I extremely resonate with because we currently are DINKWADs ourselves. And if I am to define that what DINKWADs are, then I guess we can move to the next slide. Yeah. So what DINKWADs actually are, it's an acronym of double income, no kids with a dog or more than one dog. These are the people who generally are very specific in terms of how they treat their pets. Pets for us or for DINKWADs are not a hobby. They are not something about whom we are price shopping or we are looking out for the cheapest option. We actually design our lives around our dogs because that is how we see them. It's a family where we have our working parents and we have dogs as children, even alongside human children. That can be the case as well, but the pets are getting attention like never before. It has not been seen in the past, and currently what I also experience running Ultimate as a daycare and providing grooming facilities for them is that they have taken the front seat. Like pets are driving the families as far as we interact daily. And this is a phenomena which is fast growing in the current Indian economy. It was earlier more popular in the West, but in India now we see a rise of DINKWADs only because of growing love towards pets. Now, can we move to the next one? Yeah. So, as I mentioned, the pets, our dogs, cats, are like central to our family. They are a commitment by which a family, a dinkward, sees themselves. So, what a typical dinkward is, people who are working, who are kind of resource rich but time poor. So, they value convenience more than cost. They value trust more than discounts, and they value expertise in providing the services towards their pets more than how we kind of just give normal services to pets. So dinkwards want someone who understands the behavior of their pet, who are predictable, who are reliable, and who every time deliver a kind of service which they want themselves as a human. So there is now no disparity in terms of he's a dog or he's a pet, so we can kind of compromise on the quality of services. That is not the case right now. So generally, it is zero chaos, zero guilt kind of a family who wants someone they can trust with if they are not able to maybe go out with their dog to a place they are having a vacation, but at the same time they want their dog to have a similar kind of good vacation while the family is away for travel, or there is a medical emergency, then someone who is very trustworthy to take care of their dogs, or they want grooming services to be of that level where they kind of find human salons. So that is where I think right now we are heading. Can we move to the next one? Right. So there is a cultural shift which everybody is noticing, and more so, we can see the shift very clearly in terms of language. So right now at Ultimate also we kind of address each and every dog as child, because the parents, the family, the siblings, brother, sister in the family, they now do not say कि हमारा dog है, हमारा pet है. They generally say कि these are like my sisters, my child. They have a routine properly set up for them. So everybody is kind of very mindful about how we talk towards the dogs or the pets. Then again, the focus is more around training, around enrichment, around how emotionally we can satisfy the dog or the cat, not only physically but also trying to engage them mentally. So there are a lot of mental stimulation games which they usually play at home, or we get requests at our daycare center to kind of involve them in those kind of activities. Then we also see people who don't kind of say that this is a casual ownership, I am an owner of dog. That is not the sentence which we generally hear when we deal with DINKWADs. We call it intentional parenting, because it is a long term commitment, and seeing your pet as part of the family gives that kind of emotional fulfillment to the humans as well as the pets uh, emotionally satisfy the humans as well. Next slide. So, talking about what expectations are and what needs are currently of this segment. Earlier, it was a basic kennel. If you kind of see in boarding space, there was a kennel where a dog was kept for a long period of the day. There were two, three walks done. There was food served. In terms of grooming, earlier it was majorly people thought that bathing at home is enough. Basic care of providing home cooked meals is enough. Now, I think the shift has happened towards training and behavior correction. There are daily routines, there are enrichment games, which we talked about, there are premium grooming services which help the parents identify a lot of skin issues, health issues proactively rather than later on engaging with a vet. So, there are a lot of preliminary changes in behavior of the people who are DINKWADs, and they want very structured kind of conversations, very structured facility providers. And this is, I guess, more towards the shift of having a stress free life, because when we say DINKWAD, it means people who are ready to pay for a good quality of service, but at the same time they don't want the stress in their life of chasing different people, chasing for small things. So that is more of how needs and expectations are right now structured. It is a natural extension of your family, so you would want what is best for each of them, including yourself. Next slide. Now, speaking more about why this segment matters. So, because this is not a trend and this is not something which will go away, this is a structural shift. Here, in our, especially our urban cities, the size of homes is smaller, and emotional companionship is a real need. People don't have enough time to go and meet out their friends. It's more on calls or WhatsApp. So this structural cultural shift has also changed how we want our days to be fulfilled at the end, and hence it is sustainable for businesses like us who kind of have more of DINKWADs. We see less churn of people, because once you have gained the trust and you are able to provide the quality of service which a DINKWAD desires, people would generally not tend to shift to other businesses. Then it's kind of a trust game altogether. As Dr. Arvind also earlier mentioned, that people kind of interview you first, that are you good enough for my child? And then they go forward in selecting you as a service provider, as a part of their life. Because at the end of the day, we are entering their homes through their pets. So we are becoming a part of their life. And this is a very sustainable kind of business model if we uh, talk about pet care industry as a whole. So this is not a trend, as I mentioned. This is something which is here to stay, because DINKWADs are not just spending on pets, They are building families that are different from past, because earlier it was a mother, father, one kid, two kids. Now there is a dog, a cat, in a total family picture, and that is how we think that this will move forward. So that is where DINKWADs are important and essential. Thank you. I guess that is end of my slides.
Thanks so much, Shivangini. And I think there's so much interesting. Like, I mean, it obviously it reflects a lot of what Dr. Arvind was saying as well. But I like what you said about you enter the home through the pet, right? And I think that's a very interesting thing, especially for us, like as the market research community, because very often, when we think of products, there is an entry point, there is a usage behavior, and then, but with services, especially something like this, which runs on such high emotional needs, the touch points are many more, right? Because the time that the pet is spending with you, like especially since you're a boarding service, it becomes something that the parent is possibly like following up on, the kind of questions they ask. You get a full gamut of experience of how this parent is evolving and their needs are evolving from this service as well. Um, I think that's a really interesting space to move into our next speaker, who is, kind of double hatting today from both a marketing research perspective and as well as a pet parent herself. Um, so, Ritika, if you want to just take it away and tell us a little bit about what your thoughts on this topic are.
Before I kind of start my session, I would, hearing both Dr. Arvind and Shivangini speak, I'm always wondering whether we are the ones who are actually shaping the industry, or folks like Dr. Arvind and Shivangini actually, like, telling us how the industry really needs to be shaped, because there are so many things I can relate to from both what they said. And I, as a parent today, and I'm only wearing that hat today, I exactly can understand that the way I think, and probably is resonating so much with the way the other pet parents also react. So I'm really wondering whether it's the industry driving the behavior, or is it the behavior driving the industry? But either ways, I'll probably like start my journey with my two children. Like now just said, I'm exactly the profile that you guys were describing earlier. Um, so just to give you a bit of context about me and my lifestyle as such, if you could just move to the next slide, Sandesh. So, I have basically had an extremely hectic work life, and my focus on my career has been very, very strong and high. And when me and my husband decided not to have children, little did we realize that it was the same amount of effort that would be going into, having Snoopy, our, first child of the family of sorts. And then now, taking on one more. Did not really realize that how much of a juggle, and that we would really be getting into as a commitment. But then when we got in is when our life really changed. And this is just a context slide in terms of like me telling you how I've actually been in the advertising industry earlier, then moved into marketing, and now I'm a full-time wig maker. And we are also exploring this whole aspect of how we could make wigs for dogs. And we tried to explore that area. It was very interesting when MRSI approached and offered for me to speak on this specific subject. But yes, this is my journey. If you could just move to the next slide, please, Sandesh. So it was 11 years ago, in on the 1st of April, when Snoopy walked into our lives. And as there are some nuances that, like as a profile, I think now looking backwards, I'm very specific about, like, I don't tell my, child's birthday to, in a very casual way, saying that, hey, I'm very specific about calling out the date, right? It's exactly what you do with your children. You say the date out loud, and you say that, the age of the child of sorts. And in a lot of similar ways, though we constantly have this whole discussion with my friends on how I compare the exact emotions that they feel for their children, and the same is what I feel for my two kids at home. So there are lots of similarities. That's what my constant battle is, where societal acceptance of treating pets as children, and that acceptance gap is what usually my conundrum is. Um, and when Snoopy came in, the expectation for my parents of what Snoopy was going to be in the house and what he turned out to be is completely different. So when he came in, I think there was mixed emotions about, is he going to be really a guard dog? Is he going to be on the bed? Is he going to be on the sofa? Is he's going to be okay eating just home food? And how our lives completely changed, and Snoopy took over our entire routines, and like small things about how his wines had a different language every time. When he was hungry, he had a different wine. When he was angry, he had a different wine. And there are languages now that me and my husband are able to recognize with our communication with Snoopy, and that's what 11 years of having Snoopy has really taught us. Um, it's also very strange to say that uh, we have changed as people while nurturing Snoopy, right? So if I look back in the last 11 years, I think I have become a lot more patient. I have become a lot more nurturing as a person. To when probably short-tempered and low patience. Um, Sorry, were you saying something, Sandesh?
No, 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 no.
Okay, okay. So yes, I mean, if you could just move to the next slide, please. Cut to stage 2 where Luna came in just about a year ago, and now we're suddenly extremely experienced pet parents, and as a household we basically like have a lot more understanding of how to deal with pets coming in, and like as I said, like we know exactly how what kind of space requirement is there for Luna, and how what kind of space is to be bifurcated for Snoopy. Almost for about 3 months, the space restriction really existed. And then I think one fine day, they both decided to, let go of the barriers, and the acceptance of each other just kind of grew stronger. That we didn't have to do two things separately. So initially, there were two different feeding times, right? Maintained for Snoopy and for Luna. There were two different grooming times maintained for Snoopy and for Luna. All of this basically has changed once Luna was 3 months old, when they both started accepting each other, and we didn't have to put twice the energy. There was a lot of synergy between both of them, and maybe it is the fact that Luna is a girl and Snoopy is a guy, or the fact that they just accepted being siblings in the household. But a and Snoopy's been neutered, and so there's a lot of acceptance of each other. So there was a cohesive behavior which started kind of existing in the house, so much so that they have made it easier for us as pet parents to kind of have the same setup for both of them. They of course require different type of nutrition, and hence their foods are different, but uh, there is a cohesive living environment which has kind of happened, and that makes it a lot more simpler for us. Initially where we created these separate spaces, uh, there is a cohesive environment for us. But of course, the challenge of having another pet at home, which meant twice the grooming cost, twice the expense of food, twice the walker expenses. This is something that we were very clear about, that we didn't want to compromise on. They need their 45 minutes of walk, and we ensured that there were two walkers doing the same thing morning and evening. And even the fact that, like like in our car, we have secluded space maintained for Snoopy and Luna all the time. Whenever we make sure that we go out, they're always traveling with us. So what I'm getting to say at is, Snoopy changed our life, and then we thought Luna was going to change it a lot more. But there was some kind of normalization as a family, like I think somebody mentioned it earlier. The lifestyle that a dinkwad kind of adopts then kind of becomes in a patterned way, where you have the adjustment to kind of take on another pet, because you've already adapted yourself to deal with another species in the house. Let's just call it that. And there is a like if I compare my lifestyle and probably somebody with 11-year-old child's lifestyle, the difference is that there's a lot of acceptance of another species being with you and, sharing your space, as much as, you probably have with a human child around. So that's like a very big step, or a, difference of sorts that a dinkwad is now living with, as a profile, if I have to say. Sandesh, if you could just move to the next slide, please. You could load all of the points, right? So with when Luna came in, the experience in was that, it just was so much easier for me to train her, because I knew exactly what Snoopy's language was. And with Luna, I was able to understand what her nuances is. Like, for example, it was Snoopy is, trained enough, even if he does not get to go down 3 times a day for, a pee, and now that he's much older and he can't really control, he's trained enough to only do it in the bathroom, right? If he has to relieve himself, or if he ever has to go, poop, and there's whatever the timing does not match, he's trained enough to not really, like, go at, in the living area or the bedrooms as such. He always wants the door of the bathroom opened. He knocks, goes inside the bathroom, and then relieves himself. And when Luna came in, initial few months, we had a problem to train her to understand this nuance. And it was about 3 4 months, while living with Snoopy, she also understood this whole pattern that Snoopy was kind of, doing. And today, none of them, go at, outside, in the outside areas. They insist on the bathroom door to be opened, by, knocking on the door, and then they go inside and relieve themselves, or of course they're going outside. But this is again some things which, like, experience, got us to train a lot faster, with Luna. Similarly, when it came to just affection balancing, initially we were very worried that, we'd choose one over the other, we'd give more, attention on one over the other. But that was not the case, and now we know exactly, like, how to, balance each other in terms of, like, so most of the time they both are kind of coming to me together. And Snoopy, being the older, more calmer, boy, he's a lot more, okay, and he's accepting of Luna coming and invading his space. So these are small things, I think, as behavioral change, that I'm able to observe. I know exactly now that how much time do I need to kind of really allocate to Snoopy, and how much time I need to allocate to Luna's affection. Right. So these are some things that, we kind of develop as people, and that's making us change as people as well. Like, as I said, like, the biggest, change is that how much they change our personality as such. And the last thing is basically, like, when I say double the love, it's also double the effort, right? Like, if you have to go to more walks, more vet visits, right? Like, I mean, if there is, like, maybe Luna's nails are not growing at the same pace as Snoopy's nails. So when I have to go to the vet, it's twice the visit, right? But twice the visit, as I said, but also twice the love and twice the happiness. So if you could just move to the next slide, Sandesh. As I said, I think I've already spoken so much about it. Snoopy's a calmer dog. He's neutered, so he's a lot more, stable with his reactions. He likes quiet evenings. He wants to just cuddle. He's literally, like, on the bed all the time, sleeping with us. Whereas Luna is just the opposite in that sense. She's super active. Of course, it's her age right now. She's very curious. Like, she'd allow me to put clothes onto her, without any nuance, like a huge hue and cry. Whereas Snoopy will, resist and protest on all of that. But Luna is very, that way, is adjusting and curious. And she's always full of energy, right? So there are two different energy sources of sorts in the house, which beautifully brings out the joy and balance in my house. And, as I said, like, it's a constant joy just seeing them, one being like this cuddly source of happiness, and the other one just being energetic and all around you, giving you multiple kisses on your faces. And it's an interesting mix of them, in the household. If you could just move to the next slide, please. I think I've covered a lot of this. I won't be repeating it. You could move, Sandesh. Yes, I must talk about this point that the financial investment that, having two dogs and having the same amount of love and affection shown to both of them is expensive. You know, the older one just had a splenectomy recently. And it was tough. It was tough because it does cost a bit of money. And having Luna's whole process of vaccinations and her care treatments all at the same time, it was a bit of a financial stress point because there was a lot of investigations which was required to be done. And so yes, I mean, having twice that kind of investment does bit take out for money. But like, as I said, if you compare the same with, like, if you had a human child, I guess it would be the same when you have two children and you're raising two together. And I feel there are lots of scenarios where the financial does sometimes take a beating. So yes, this is one thing I think when you do think about having two pets, somebody should consider. And because it takes twice the amount of care and investment as such. If you could move to the next slide, please. Just load all of it, right? So I'll kind of like talk about this. Like, there is and within the community of pet parenting also there is pressure, right? Like, there's pressure of, am I doing enough? Like, I was wondering whether, will I ever have like that Van Cleef diamond for my boy, or whether whether Luna will have like a her own Hermes bag of sorts. I mean, I don't know. Like, there is a bit of pet pressure amongst pet parents of doing the best that's possible for your pet as such. And then there is like, as I said, like, there is this whole debate of accepting. Still, there is a debate of accepting the fact that how much is okay with your pet. Like, is it okay to have food from the same plate as your pet? Is it okay to sleep in the same bed with your pet? So those kind of shifting norms and judgment statements, right? And especially with folks who don't have pets, there is a bit of a resistance and reluctance when even coming into a pet home, because there is, when you get into a pet home, you can always smell the pet, because there is the smell of hair, or there's the smell of them sitting on the sofa, and the hair kind of like giving off the smell. So there is a bit of reluctance, and you're kind of like trying to um, debate that, or have that constant argument with a non-pet parent to kind of justify whether it's okay or not. And this whole modern view of how whether pets should be just guard dogs or pets should be like your children, that conundrum happens all the time. And the guilt, the third thing is like, as you have it with children, you have guilt of leaving your pets behind. If you're not traveling with them, you have guilt with them. When you're going to work and when they're looking at you with their puppy eyes, you have guilt. When you're leaving them, even at like your the groomer, and you're like letting them have their wash and shave, and that 1 hour of them just looking at you saying that, please, why are you doing this to me? That guilt and that that feeling is big, and it does take out a little bit of anxiety for you. And what is okay? Is it okay to leave them behind with your friends? Is it okay to leave them at dorms? I mean, I understand Shivangini is in the panel, but this is something that as an idea, I was completely against. I couldn't think about leaving my pet at a hostel where I did not know what was going to happen. So this was something which was there in while Snoopy was growing up. But today I know that there are lots of pet hostels which are very, very well kept and is as good as like a hotel room for humans. And that gives me a lot of comfort. And if in case there were scenarios where there were a lot lesser dogs per boarding, that would give me even more comfort. Because I wouldn't want to believe that my boy is being kept as just another boy of sorts. So these are some of the thoughts which I deal with, and these are some of the pressure points that I deal with as a dinkwad as such. Can you to move to the next one, please, Sandesh? I think we've already covered this enough with, Dr. Arvind and Shivangani, so I won't really talk about it. But there are lots of opportunity areas if I could think about as somebody from the industry, and if there are, areas of when one could pitch to a DINKWAD. And I was thinking there are four large stages. One is, of course, when they're puppies. You have complete, a green space for you to be pitching a lot of things because a person is looking for any kind of help that they can get, right? Whether be it vet care, whether be it, even content blogs, whether be it, starter kits. These are some things at the entry stage which would be interesting to, get into. The second is when they're actually being trained, right? At the training stage, there are a whole lot of opportunities. Again, education is one of the big ones here. And getting personalized advice is even better. So at the training stage, there could be a whole lot of areas where one could pitch products on. Um, the third stage is basically on the area where it's about long-term health, and you want to keep your pet safe, and have a healthy life for them. So that's the third stage I would think matters. And then the last stage is, of course, we're at the geriatric stage of sorts, where you are looking for all kind of comfort that you could give them, so they have the a comfortable life post 10, 11 years. So this is for the four stages I think that you could probably think about while pitching products to a DINKWAD. With that, I think I will rest the presentation, and I think we're anyway just 3 minutes left. So yes, Adya, you could have any questions.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, I think that was great. Thank you so much, Ritika. And I tell you why I think your perspective is so important, because I think it highlights a lot of the pain points, the actual lived experience of a pet parent, right? That actually, and, you asked this question at the start of your presentation: do our needs inform the industry, or is the industry informing our needs? And I think it's the interplay between the two, right? There's so much in what you've said, that offers. Sorry, am I audible?
Yep.
Sorry, am I audible? Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you, but I think Sandesh needs to mute.
All right. Okay. Great. So we just have one question. I think that's all we have time for. Um, the question is on, if and it's across the panel. It's on the phenomenon of people adopting pets and then perhaps abandoning them when they realize, as we discussed, the financial responsibility, the effort that it takes. That's also something that is being seen. So what is perhaps, is that something that you're also seeing? Do you also see a lot of like abandoned pets? Is that also an emerging need?
Yeah, I'll take
Anyone
that
from the
one.
panel? I'm happy for.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Shivangani,
Can I
you want
start?
to?
Yeah, yeah. So yes, during COVID, we saw a lot of adoption of pets, and once the things opened up, people were able to go out and plan their days, vacations, etc. Offices opened up again. I think somehow in the middle, people forgot that dogs are a different species altogether. So they are not only a means to satisfy emotional needs or just maybe pass time during that time where everybody was at home. They should be considered as a family. So abandonment also rose after everything opened up. And that is where I guess overall, as being in the industry, being a dinkwad ourselves, and being pet parents, we need to kind of guide any new person who is thinking of adopting a pet. It can be like Ritika, where a dog is now old age, very, I guess, silent or very adaptive to the family, and then they second somehow find another cute pet, which they feel the second dog would kind of gel with, and then it doesn't happen. Or a, a new couple, or even single people who are now Gen Zs and living alone away from their homes, see internet and get very influenced that it is a very simple and happy thing. So what we see in internet, in reels and everything, is the happy aspect of it. The difficulties are always behind the camera. So running a boarding facility or a grooming facility, again there are hundreds of things to manage to give you the best output. Similarly, it happens in our homes where we even have to cancel a lot of plans because our pets are not well. We have to spend in a certain manner because maybe this month the vet's bill are high. So all those commitments become a part of your life, and it is, I strongly believe, like having a human child. You have to sit, think, and then commit to it before bringing any like dog to your space. So as pet parents ourselves, we have that responsibility to guide any new person who is thinking of getting a pet, a dog, a cat, a rabbit, any pet, that these are the things you will have to go through over the course of the lifespan of that pet, and are you ready to commit to it? Maybe that will also help in the people who are now interested understand the real side of it rather than the real side of it. Yeah, I think now the other
Okay.
panelists also would
Thanks so
have.
much.
No,
Unfortunately, I
I
don't
think
think we have
it
time.
was absolutely right. It's our responsibility, as pet parents and the pet community. You have to educate, you before anybody gets on somebody. It's not really like it's not like getting flowers, like for birthdays. I see this phenomenon and I get really upset about this, where people are buying puppies and giving them as gifts. To a person who does not even know that this is what is coming their way. So this is something that I think I really strongly battle for, whereby if you're taking on a puppy, you cannot have think about there's no exit. It's like, when you're entering a relationship with your child, or I'm hoping that when you're entering a marriage, you don't really like think about it where with an exit plan already there, right? So you have to kind of take on a puppies also in the same spirit, and
All right.
there is no exit.
Yeah.
Right.
Great. Unfortunately, yes, please wrap up. Please wrap up.
Yeah, can I add something here?
Sure.
Yes. So one of the common things which makes me discourage people bringing pets into the families is, and it's a feature with something that happens more frequently than I would like. And this is a situation where a pet is brought into the house because the son and the daughter have been pestering them to get a pet. Now, this pestering could have happened at class 3 or 4. Now, they waited all this time. The child is in class 10, and then they go and get a pet. Or when I've had those opportunities, when I have had this chat, I have told them that your son or your daughter is going to leave home in another 2 years. Now, the average lifespan of a pet is 12. Now, you are going to get a pet into the house because your son or daughter wants one, but the son or daughter is going to leave home in 2 years. Then what happens to the pet? Are you ready to take on that responsibility which your children have bestowed upon you? Now, this can turn out to be a tragedy if the father and the mother are not as committed as the child who wants the pet. And that's not a good situation to be in. Or let us say the child is also done college. Now, after college, then what happens? They will obviously want to take up a job wherever there's a good job. Now, you can't have a pet because you finished school. Now you've gotten into college. You're an adult, and then you go ahead and get a pet. Leave it with your elderly parents. Now, if they are keen, yes, good, they will do it for you. But then physically, it's quite demanding. Now, from what I hear from Ritika, she's a well balanced, well thought out pet parent. So she knows what she's getting herself into when she got Luna. But That's not the average situation that we see on reality. We have lots of people who are oh, now my son has gone off to college, my son has gone off to the US. Now what to do with the pet? I'm like, what to do? What? Why are you asking me this question? So that's again something that we are very frequently coming across. Sometimes it's better to decide on this pet ownership, okay, getting a animal member of the family, and think for the next 10 years before you take the plunge. That's something that I would strongly advise. Thank you. Yeah, Adya. Hello.
Sandesh, can you hear
Yeah.
us?
No, I can. Yeah. Now.
Yes, yes, we can hear you. Adya, you're on mute.
Thank you, Ritika. Thank you, Dr. Arvind. And thank you, Shivangini, for your, expert insights, advice, and personal experiences. I think it was very, very enlightening for all of us, and for all the ones who have logged in. And if we have any questions, we can always direct them to you, and if you could please answer them. Thank you so much, and hope to see you soon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.